It's strange how a single decision, one that doesn't even feel like a decision at the time, can unravel everything you thought was certain. And as I sit alone now, trying to piece together how I let it happen, how I let him happen, I realize that sometimes life doesn't give you clear warnings, just soft whispers you ignore until they become storms. My name is Eliza, and this is not a story I'm proud of, but it's mine. And if telling it helps even one person recognize the thin line between loneliness and betrayal, then maybe it's worth the shame. I was 33 when it began. 7 years into my marriage with Jason, a man I loved with every inch of my soul once, who made me laugh until my ribs hurt and held my hand to my darkest days, but who had changed over the years into someone distant, cold, distracted, and though I knew work stress, family issues, and life pressures were slowly chipping away at us, I kept telling myself that marriages go through phases, that love matures, quiets, deepens, even when passion fades. But I never expected the silence between us to grow so loud, to feel like a third presence in our home, haunting every meal, every bedtime, every morning when he'd leave without so much as a glance, and I, too proud to beg for scraps of affection, began to disappear inside myself, becoming the kind of wife who set the table for two and ate alone while her husband stayed late at work without explanation. The loneliness became a shadow, and I wore it like a second skin, pretending everything was fine on the outside, smiling to friends, posting happy photos, hosting dinners. But inside, I was crumbling, and that's when Nathan entered our lives again, Jason's best friend from college, who had just moved back to the city after a divorce that he didn't talk much about, and since Jason was buried in his corporate chaos. I became the default host, the one who welcomed Nathan into our home, who cooked him dinner when Jason canceled last minute, who listened to his quiet voice tell stories of what love could become when it's neglected. At first, I didn't see it, didn't see me, how I leaned in when he spoke, how I laughed a little too freely at his dry humor, how I started to care about how I looked on the days I knew he'd be around. And Nathan, so gentle, so attentive, so unlike the man I married in all the ways that had begun to matter, started noticing things Jason no longer did. My favorite tea, the books I love, how I tucked my hair behind, my ear when nervous, and though he never could come when it's neglected. At first, I didn't see it, didn't see me, how I leaned in when he spoke, how I laughed a little too freely at his dry humor, how I started to care about how I looked on the days I knew he'd be around. And Nathan, so gentle, so attentive, so unlike the man I married in all the ways that had begun to matter, started noticing things Jason no longer did. My favorite tea, the books I love, how I tucked my hair behind, my ear when nervous. And though he never crossed a line, the energy between us grew heavier, electric, unspoken, until one rainy evening, when Jason left midway through dinner to take a work call that lasted hours. Nathan stayed behind and helped me clean up, and the conversation turned slowly, dangerously intimate. I remember standing in the kitchen with him, our fingers brushing as he handed me a glass, and something in me, a woman who hadn't been touched, seen, desired in months, reacted like a spark meeting dry wood. And when he whispered, "You deserve more than this, Eliza," I felt the tears sting before I even knew I was crying, because I did, didn't I? Didn't I deserve to feel alive again? I told myself nothing happened that night, because we didn't kiss, we didn't touch beyond a lingering glance. But the truth is, everything happened, because the emotional betrayal had already begun, and the days that followed were a blur of guilt and longing, trying to act normal around Jason, who still barely noticed me, while secretly replaying every moment with Nathan, whose presence had become my oxygen, and I could have stopped it. I should have, but the next time Jason had to fly out for a work conference, Nathan came by to check on me, and this time the tension didn't simmer, it boiled over. We talked for hours, curled up on the couch like teenagers, and when he finally kissed me, I didn't pull away. I let it happen, let the ache in me dictate my choices. And when we ended up in bed, it wasn't just passion, it was sorrow. It was years of neglect unraveling into a night of stolen comfort. When Jason returned, I thought I'd be consumed by guilt, but instead I felt numb, and that scared me more than anything, because it meant I didn't regret it. Not then, not yet. Nathan and I tried to stop. We swore it was a mistake. But our connection had teeth, and the more I tried to forget, the more I felt suffocated in my own home, where my husband still couldn't tell someone was broken. The affair, if you could even call it that, lasted 3 months, and each time felt less like betrayal and more like survival, until one evening, Jason came home early, and I was there, on the phone with Nathan, laughing like I hadn't in years. And a look in his eyes when he saw me, really saw me, broke me more than any confrontation could have. He didn't yell, didn't accuse, just said, "Who are you right now?" And that one sentence undid me, because I didn't know anymore, was I the faithful wife still hoping to be loved, or the desperate woman clinging to anyone who offered her a fraction of attention? The fallout was quiet but devastating. Jason moved into the guest room. Nathan disappeared without a goodbye, and I was left to sit with the pieces, forced to face the part one played in everything. Therapy helped slowly, and over time, Jason and I talked, really talked, for the first time in years. And though forgiveness didn't come easy, he admitted he too had checked out, had stopped trying. And while we never fully repaired what was lost, we found a fragile truce, a shared responsibility. And in that, a strange kind of peace. I don't see Nathan anymore. Haven't heard from him since the night Jason found us on the phone. And maybe that's the best, because what we had was never meant to last. It was a moment, a mirror, a wake-up call. And if I'm honest, I don't think I love him. Not really. I just love the way he made me feel. And that's a dangerous kind of love, one that masquerades as salvation, but leaves you emptier in the end. Now, when I walk to the same kitchen, make the same tea, or hear Jason call my name softly from the other room, I realize love isn't always about butterflies or grand gestures. It's about showing up even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And though our marriage still bears the scars of those months, we both carry them as reminders, not failure, but how easy it is to drift, to lose each other in the noise of life, and how vital it is to fight, really fight, for what matters before someone else walks in and gives you what you've forgotten how to ask for